Hello there, and welcome to the Double Zero Challenge channel. We do just one thing on this channel, and that's to take these two dice, 2d10s, and see how long it takes before we roll a double zero. If you'd like to play along, please write down your guess now. All I ask is that you keep it to yourself. Please don't disclose it in the comments. Let other people watch the video and find out for themselves. There will be a few more things to explain as we go along, no doubt, but with odds of 100 to 1 to roll a double zero, let's get cracking. So, roll number one. And that is a 4 and a 9. I'll announce them all as we go along. And we have a 3 and a 9. And we have a 3 and a 2. And that's a 3 and a 6. 7 and 8. And that's a 5 and a 2. And we have a 0, but we have a 1. We're only looking for double zeros. We will take account of any other doubles as we go along, but that's largely for fun, largely to see our progress, because we should encounter 9 other doubles on the way to 100. Anyway, enough babble, let's get rolling. And that's a double 3, so just what I said, we'll put that on the bottom shelf there. And that's an 8 and a 9. And a 4 and a 9. And that's a 1 and an 8. And we have a 7 and a 4. That's a 4 and a 9. And that's a 0, but it's a 7. And that's a 0, but it's a 3. And a 1 and an 8. And we have a 6 and a 7. That's a 6 and a 4. And we have a 6 and a 4. A 1 and a 5. And that's a double 2. So let's stick that there. And that's a 9 and a 5. And a 5 and a 4. It's a 0, but it's an 8. And that's a 6 and an 8. And that's a 4 and a 2. And that's a double 2 again. Put that there. And we have a 2 and a 9. That's a 3 and a 1. And we have a 7 and a 5. And that is a 2 and a 7. If you watch this channel regularly, there's minimal editing, so any mistakes tend to get left in. And this cup likes to shoot dice out before they're ready, so probably not the last time that'll happen. Anyway, 7 and 5. And that's a double 1. That's our fourth double of the session so far. And that's a 0, but it's a 2. And that's a 7 and a 3. And we have an 8 and a 9. It's a 5 and a 4. And we have a 7 and a 1. It's a double 9, fifth double, and we'll be approaching 50, not immediately, but uh, getting there. So statistically, we would expect about 5 doubles. 8 and a 6. I say doubles, but not the very one we're looking for. And that's a double 8. Yeah, not the one we're looking for. And it's an 8 and a 5. And we have an 8 and a 1. That's an 8 and a 7. And that's 7 and 3. Now, every time we have a multiple of 50, and we're going to have a massive big roll with 2 hands, and that's coming up very shortly. Assuming we don't get a double 0 before then. It's been known to happen. 8 and a 1, because of course odds of 1 in 100 are only hypothetical. Real world conditions, however, beg to differ. That's a 7 and a 3. And that's a double 7. Also our 7th 7 of the session. And that's a 4 and a 6. And for roll number 50, it's a 3 and a 5. So we play on for 100 rolls. And that's a 0, but it's a 2. And that's a 0, but it's a 7. 2 and a 9. A 7 and a 6. And that's an 8 and a 7. And we have a 5 and a 6. And that's a 3 and a 1. 5 and a 9. And that's a 0, but it's an 8. We have a 6 and a 5 there. And we have a 6 and a 7. That's a 9 and a 2. And that's a 2 and a 6. 2 and a 4. That is a 6 and a 4. That's a 4 and a 7. And we have a 5 and an 8. That's a 0, but it's a 9. That's a 0, but it's a 7. And we have a 2 and a 4. And a 4 and a 1. And that's a 2 and a 9. We have a 9 and an 8. A 7 and a 3. Or 3 and a 7. I've not actually never settled on an order in which to read them. Just whichever one is noticed first. And that's a 4 and a 2. Or a 2 and a 4. It's a 0, but it's a 7. It's a 0, but it's a 4. It's a 2 and a 1. And that's a 0, but it's a 3. A 7 and 4. And that's a 0, but it's a 9. And that's a 3 and an 8. It's a 0, but it's a 1. And it's a 00. There we have it. So we got up to 50, 67 to 84. So 84 rolls against odds of 1 in 100. And on the way, we encountered 7 doubles, give or take what we would expect on the way to a 00. Thank you so much for watching this video. You take care and roll on next time.